Mr. Speaker, and it is of course a great honor to be able to stand and represent the people of Edmonton Strathcona. And today we are talking about the increasing price of groceries. And I want to start by talking a little bit about my son. You know, I have a 16-year-old. He's 6'3". He plays rugby, football, hockey, and wrestling. And I can tell you very clearly that I know how much groceries cost, because that kid eats a lot of groceries. But I also want to talk about some other folks in my riding. You know, my dear friend Luann, who came to my office because she is a senior. And as one of my colleagues from the block has mentioned, this government refuses to raise the OAS payments. And seniors are living right on the edge in my riding. And for Luann, you know what she came in and asked? She just wanted to buy a little meat for her mother, for her elderly mother. Now, Luann is a senior. She's living on OAS. She's trying to make ends meet, and she just wants a little bit of meat for her mother in Canada, in Edmonton, in Alberta. I want to talk about people living with disabilities. You know, Bev, one of my fantastic constituents, she actually has a guinea pig that she dresses up in Oilers colors, and I want to just take a moment to say once again, congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers. But Bev's guinea pig is in my pet calendar that I give out to my constituents. She came in with a meticulously written budget of exactly where every single one of the dollars that she gets from AISH goes. And there is no room for error there. There is no going out for dinner. That, you know, she lives so close to the line, and she is so cautious and so careful. And every time grocery prices go up, it's another hit on Bev. It's another time that she can't afford groceries. And you know, these are seniors in our communities. These are people living with disabilities in our communities. But I want to say that that's not all. You know, folks that have jobs, folks that are working, can no longer afford to pay for their groceries, can no longer afford to eat in this country. This is a huge problem, and we know that the cost of food just keeps going up and up and up. You know, in the last 3 years, the price of groceries has gone up by 20%. Food banks have reached a 35-year high. And food banks in and of themselves, those are a Band-Aid. Those are not a solution. Those are a Band-Aid. You know, in Edmonton, the Edmonton Food Bank served 42,000 people in April alone. And a new report by Food Banks Canada said that Alberta's food insecurity rate is 27% higher than the national average. Canadians are skipping meals. This is completely unacceptable. And the requirement of the government to step up and to help Canadians is so urgent. We can't continue to wait. We can't continue to watch the Liberals nicely ask CEOs who are raking in millions and billions of dollars of profit. We can't ask them nicely to stop. That's not how we fix this problem. You know, speaking of my 16-year-old again, if I was to ask him nicely to clean his room, it might not happen. Sometimes there has to be consequences if he doesn't do it. This may be the same case I would propose to the government. You know, we've got a company, we've got Loblaws that doubled their profit margin in 5 years. Metro has the biggest profit margin of any grocery store. You know, in fact, in 2023, the grocery sector made record profits, raking in $6 billion. When is enough? All of us here should be saying, when is enough? When is enough profit for them? When Canadians can't afford their groceries, when people can't afford to eat. And don't even get me started on what is happening in the northern part of this country. The member for Nunavut has been fearless and tireless in raising this issue day in and day out in this place. And yet we continue to see the Nutrition North program contribute to corporate greed. Of the $137 million that went to Nutrition North, $64 million of that went to the Northwest Company. And the CEO of that company was paid millions. My colleague from Nunavut has told me that when she goes to buy eggs in a store not run by the Northwest Company, it's half the price. The system is broken. Nutrition North is broken, and that means that people in the North are not able to access food. That means that the Liberals' promises to help people be able to afford food in the North is simply contributing to corporate greed. And what do we have? What has been the fix that we've seen? Well, we have the Liberals that have set up a task force. They've done no tasks. They're not much of a force, to take the words from one of my colleagues from British Columbia. It's, again, a perfect example of Liberal talk with no action behind it. You know, we've seen this time and time again. And then we look at the Conservatives. They have lobbyists within the highest level of their party. You know, the Conservatives, when they were in power, cut the corporate tax rate from 22% to 15%, which cost $60 billion in corporate handouts. $2.35 billion of that went to Loblaws and Metro. In the U.S., they have a 21% corporate tax rate, and they're trying to get that up to 28%. These are corporate handouts to corporations that are gouging Canadians. And why do the Conservatives do it? Because this is their friends. This is who they represent. This is who is part of their party. This is their donors. Why would we expect that they would do anything else? So here's what we're asking for. Here's what the NDP need to see. We want to make sure that things are fair for Canadians. We want this to be fair for people to go out and to buy their groceries. My leader, the leader from Burnaby South, and the rest of the NDP caucus want to force big grocery chains and suppliers to lower the price of essential foods or to face consequences like a price cap. That's a concrete step we can take now. That's a concrete piece of action that can be taken that will have immediate effects for Canadians' grocery prices. We want to stop delaying long-needed reforms on Nutrition North programming. This program isn't working. It's contributing to corporate greed, and people in the North deserve to be able to afford nutritious, good food, and that is not happening right now. And we need to stop the Liberal and Conservative corporate handouts to big grocers. Enough. Enough with that. Enough giving money to those that are making the lives of Canadians harder. You know, the NDP has been leading on this issue for years. And I understand that the Liberals and the Conservatives want to jump on this bandwagon. Obviously, the Liberals' plan is to talk about how concerned they are, perhaps get a task force together, perhaps consult with somebody, ask nicely. The Conservatives, of course, will be to continue to give out corporate handouts to their friends. I mean, their leader, the Stornoway King, is the guy who lives in the 19-room mansion paid for by taxpayers. He's not going to take away the gravy train that is all of his funders. So you're going to need to depend on the NDP for this. You know, we've been raising it in committee. We've been raising it in this House. We've been raising this for years. The NDP have a plan. We've put forward this plan. There are concrete steps that every member in this House can take. Every member in this House can vote for this motion. It will help Canadians. It will help your constituents. Canadians are running out of time. I hope you support this motion. Thank you.
Questions and comments? Question Kamaltar, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm wondering if the member has any concerns at all with regards to the government, as she is suggesting, put in a price cap. Is there another country in the G20? I understand that France might be. I don't quite understand France. Can she provide any evidence of any G20 country that actually has some sort of a price cap where it's demonstrated to be effective and not negatively impacted supply?
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
So there's lots of examples. First of all, I'd like to thank the member for the question. There's lots of examples of how other governments around the world have taken concrete steps to make sure that corporate greed is not affecting the citizens in those countries. We've seen this. You know, we saw Biden in the United States put in the excess profit tax. We've been calling for that. The government's taken no action on this. You know, we've seen in France that there is some work being done on this. There are other countries around the world that are looking at this. But what we need to be thinking about as Canadians, what is the Canadian solution for us? What is the solution where we can work on something that will concretely lower the price of taxes or the price of groceries for Canadians? And I think what we've proposed here is a strong plan that will actually get the prices to come down and will hold those grocers that are gouging Canadians, the big CEOs that are taking the money out of the pockets of Canadians and making record profits, that, you know, they will be paying their fair share. And I think that's what all Canadians want. You know, Canadians want something that is fair. They want something where they are treated fairly, where there is not, you know, the field isn't stacked against them, that they have a chance to be able to pay for their groceries and feed their families.